Hello everyone and welcome back to my YouTube channel. My name is Maddie and I'm going to be giving you guys some book recommendations. I went on my Instagram and my Patreon and asked you guys what were some of your favorite tropes. And you guys did not disappoint. You gave me some very classic tropes and that's exactly what we're doing today. So I've done a video before where I had specific book trope recommendations where we got into some niches. Where in this video, I want to keep it super simple, like the most classic, basic tropes that we all know and love. I might be missing quite a few. These are just the ones that you guys commented, so that is what I'm going to recommend. And quick disclaimer, like I always do in these videos, I can only read so fast. Okay, if I've recommended these books before, if I've talked about them in vlogs, if you guys have seen them everywhere, I'm sorry. I'm just a girl. Let's get to the fun part. We're gonna start out with a classic trope. Like probably every single romance or romantasy book has this in some way, shape, or form. Grumpy Sunshine. Now, this might be cheating because I'm currently reading this, but if this book is not Grumpy Sunshine, then I don't know what is, okay? Love Unwritten by Lauren Asher. So I read the first book, Love Redesigned, last month. It was okay. This one? So good. Raphael is a grump, like the grumpiest grumpy man ever. He's almost a little too grumpy for me because sometimes grumpy characters can come off as really mean, but I'm again 50% of the way through this and I'm learning that Raphael has a reason to be grumpy. Then we have Ellie, who actually isn't too sunshiny. She is the sunshine part of this grumpy sunshine trope. She's definitely going through some stuff. One thing that Lauren Asher does is make her characters very, very realistic. But I think that at some point we know that they're gonna meet in the middle and he's gonna be like head over heels. He's already kind of pining for her, which I love, but he is so grumpy. Grumpy Sunshine, I'm loving it so far. Again, 50% of the way through, and I am doing a vlog on this one as well. The next trope is forced proximity. And I actually don't have a physical copy of this book because I read it on my Kindle, but it is manacled. Most of these books are gonna be real sweet, romancy, maybe some romantasy in there. This one is straight sad. Please, please, please look up the trigger warnings on this book if you guys are affected by triggers at all. Pretty dang rough to read about. Manacled is a fan fiction between Hermione and Draco. And if you are an HP fan and you have not read this yet, I highly suggest you do. Harry Potter is one of my all-time favorite series, yet this took it to a whole nother level. This is an alternate reality to where Harry Potter dies and Voldemort wins. So it's pretty dark. The world has kind of collapse. Long story short, let's get back to the trope, forced proximity. Hermione is trapped in her own mind, but also since she was a part of the good guys, she's pretty much a prisoner in Voldemort's world. She's given to Draco basically and saying, hey, make babies, but they're forced to stay together within Draco's manor. Really high tension, not sexual tension, really just like high tension in general. Hermione is quite literally trapped in her own head and going through it. There's just a lot of tension in that manor and you can tell that it's forced. It's like the most real forced proximity book you will ever read. Like they're forced to be in this one manor together or they will die. So sad but great book. Now, if you're still here and you're waiting for me to get through those recommendations, I want you to comment below your favorite book and a trope attached to it that you love about it so I can do a reading vlog to where I read your favorite tropes in books. So, Friends to Lovers. One of my favorites, probably this book recommendation that I'm gonna make is my favorite recommendation that I'm gonna make in this video. Friends to Lovers is top tier for me, one of my tops. I'm gonna recommend Saving Six by Chloe Walsh. This is the ultimate Friends to Lovers because this whole book is in the span of 6 years of Joey and Aoife in secondary school. So this is set in Ireland. Joey and Aoife meet on the first day of school and both of them are kind of just instantly attracted to each other, have a crush on each other at that age, but you're watching them grow up together. So Friends to Lovers, friends. Redeeming Six is more lovers. It's so worth it. It's so terribly sad, but so good. Now the next one is Fake Dating, but I'm gonna twist it and do Fake Dating / Engagement of Convenience. Now listen, that's not even really a trope. Okay, we all know Marriage of Convenience and Fake Dating, but in this book, Hopeless by Elsie Silver, Beau and Bailey are technically in a fake engagement. So it's like fake dating and a marriage of convenience, engagement of convenience. Like it's the two combined, right? This is a part of the Chestnut Springs series, and Bailey, our main character, her family in Chestnut Springs has a bad reputation. Her brothers are kind of mischievous and not very good people, where Bailey is like super sweet and she just has this like really bad family reputation, so no one in town really likes her. In comes Beau. This is also an age gap romance if that's what you're into. But to kind of satisfy his crush and to help her out, Beau suggests a fake engagement. It's fake dating, but it's also like convenient for both of them because he likes her a lot and she wants to like up her reputation, and Beau's family is like, the Eaton family is the family in Chestnut Springs. So Bailey associating herself with Beau, it's a win-win. But one of my favorite things, this has nothing to do with the trope, but Bailey in this book, she is so funny. She's so outspoken and just like says whatever's on her mind. Like she just does not give any fucks about where she is or what she's doing. Like she will ask the most random questions, and it's so funny where Beau is like super closed off and he gets like, he like blushes around her and he's going through a lot of stuff post-military. It's just really a great dynamic and the chemistry is so good. Love this book. I mean, I know that would never happen in real life, but like if it has, if any of you guys have done that, have you guys, any of y'all fake dated people? Like, do tropes happen in real life? I want to know that. The next trope is rivals to lovers, which I don't think I've read that many rivals to lovers, so coming up with a recommendation was a little tough because I've recommended this multiple times. So hear me out. I'm going to recommend The Graham Effect again because, one, I gave it 5 stars this year. It's such a good book. You should read it if you haven't. But this is based off Ryder and Gigi. Gigi and Ryder both play hockey. Ryder is on a team at a different school, and the hockey teams are merging because the other school that Ryder's at is like, is it closing down? It's doing something, and the teams have to merge. So it's 2 rival hockey teams that are forced to merge together. Gigi, being a female, isn't on the hockey team, but she's looking for help with her hockey skills to get onto the women's national team for the Olympics. Gigi and Ryder reluctantly kind of work together, even though that they're rivals and they shouldn't like each other. So classic hockey romance, but both of them are hockey players, which is nice. The next one is the best version of this trope that I've ever seen, and it's the one bed trope. Okay, this is like a really, this trope for me doesn't do anything. Like, I don't really care about this trope. If it happens to be in a book, I'm like, okay. Micro trope that I don't really care about. But boy, did I love it in this book. Play Along by Liz Tom Ford. Kennedy and Isaiah drunkenly decide to get married one night in Las Vegas, and they're forced to stay together when Kennedy's job is at risk. Isaiah is a professional baseball player and Kennedy is the athletic trainer on his baseball team, so they kind of work together, little workplace romance. Now Isaiah has had a long-lasting crush on Kennedy, so he's not that upset with this marriage arrangement, but Kennedy, on the other hand, is a little, like, she's freaking out. And since they're a married couple, when they're traveling with the baseball team, it would be weird not to sleep in the same hotel room, right? So they're kind of stuck and they have to sleep in the same hotel room. Isaiah ends up sleeping on the floor most of the time, but there's good reason, and the way that they get out of this one bed trope, oh, it's so sweet. It's so sweet. Liz Tom Ford took the one bed trope and ran with it. She was like, let me show you what I can do. One of my favorite tropes of all time, I've said that about like every single one, is reluctant allies, and I'm gonna recommend The Book of Azrael by Amber Nicole. I read this one this month. I cannot stop thinking about this book. So we have Liam and Diana. Now Liam and Diana, I'm gonna keep it really simple, they're different species and they hate each other. Okay, so it is romantasy. They do not get along. Their species have always kind of hunted, killed, disliked each other, like literally have never gotten along until they have a common enemy. Something's happening. This enemy wants to open the realms back up and let all of these monsters and demons back into their world. Liam and Diana are forced to work together. Now, if you are wanting, and I've said this so many times in videos, I do not think enemies to lovers exists. Like, every time someone's like, oh, it's an enemies to lovers, I'm like, no, it's not. Because you know that they secretly like each other. This is the first true enemies to lovers that I have ever read, because they genuinely despise each other from the very beginning. And it is the slowest slow burn, 600-ish pages of just slow tension, chapter by chapter, then become actual allies rather than like reluctant allies. Like one of the best true enemies to lovers and reluctant allies that I've read. I could not recommend this one more. I'm gonna be talking about this book so much more this year. Speaking of enemies to lovers, I'm gonna give you guys an enemies to lovers recommendation where it's like they're not really enemies. They shouldn't be, but they say that they are. Not in Love by Ali Hazelwood. Eli's company is taking over Rue's company. They did previously match on a dating app, so they were kind of attracted to each other from this dating app. They should hate each other, but they do not. They say that they're enemies. They're not. That's what I hate about the enemies to lovers trope, is no one's really an enemy. Rue has no interest in being friends or buddy-buddy with Eli, but Eli is so infatuated with her that it's just so obvious that they're not enemies, and like they're mutually pining for each other, at least sexually at first. So yeah, enemies to lovers-ish, kind of. Okay. The next trope is a recent favorite of mine. I haven't really read a lot of these, but I'm liking them and I'm gonna keep reading them, and that is the single dad trope, and I'm gonna recommend Coach by Devney Perry. Ford and Millie were high school best friends, but they always kind of had a crush on each other. Ford ends up going to play football for a pro team and they kind of lose touch for a few years. His daughter's name is Joey, and when Ford moves back to his hometown, Millie is working for the team that he's going to be coaching. I think the first single dad romance book that I ever read. Elsie Silver also does really great on single dads and I love them. Love Unwritten, what I'm reading right now, is a single dad romance. The next one is Second Chance Romance, and I'm gonna recommend, and I can't say much about this one because the second book I think will expand more on this second chance. It's When the Moon Hatched. This one, I can't describe it without spoiling anything, but our main character, yeah, I really can't say much. I just explained it and I'm gonna edit that part out because I can't explain it. But Second Chance, this one for sure, and the second book even more so, because this one doesn't resolve the second chance, if that makes sense. But I know it's gonna be. Like, it's this one, so good. Arranged Marriage. Now, I don't read, like some of these tropes, I don't read a lot of arranged marriage books, so I picked the one that I know I have, which is Bride by Ali Hazelwood. We got another Ali Hazelwood book. Lo and Misery are forced, they're arranged to get married to bring two communities together, the vampires and the werewolves. One thing I loved about this book was the character development through this arranged marriage, and Misery's never really had anyone to like fight for her before, so watching Lo kind of take that role and really fight for her, even though that it was kind of a slow burn. Short book, still slow burn, not a lot happened with them at the very beginning, and it slowly gets into it, but you can tell Lo is just so obsessed with her and he just knows that she needs someone to back her up, and that's what he does for her. We love him. He hates everyone but her. Black cat energy. I've said that a million times about this book. I adored this book so much more than I thought I would. Amma is a wedding planner and Elliot is a florist, so they have to work together. They worked together in the past. They kind of had a little relationship in the past. This is also second chance romance, but he is a dick. He hates everything, everyone. He does not enjoy the presence of other people except for hers, but there's history between them, so you're kind of understanding why he's this way, but also watching from his POV, which is set in the past, and her POV, which is in the present. I love his grump. Like, his grump is good. He was a little mean at times, but I was okay with it. I wanted him to hate everyone but her. He's such a big softie for her. Like, that's what I loved. That is it for this YouTube video. Thank you guys for tuning in. If you guys have read any of these or are wanting to read any of these, or if this video made you want to read them, please let me know. Like this video if you want to support me. Subscribe if you haven't, and I will see you in the next video. Woo!